everyone. I'm glad to be here and share with you a few stories about change. Before getting started, I'd like to ask you a question. What is change? In your first impression, does change mean something good, something bad, or neutral? Do you enjoy change or you don't like it? Before answering the question, let's look at the dictionary about the definitions of change. Next slide, please. If we look at the Merriam-Webster dictionary, we can see change means become different. It means to undergo transformation, and it means to exchange or to switch. From the definitions, we can see that change implies something different, something new, or even uncertainty. If there is too much uncertainty taking place, will you be likely to feel overwhelmed? Maybe you cannot control everything and things will fall out of place. However, if someone decides to cling to the past and reject the change, what will happen to him or her? I'd like to tell you a story. 18 years ago, when I was a college student, Nokia was the #1 choice for anyone who wanted to buy a phone. I still remember how excited I was when I unpacked my first Nokia phone. It was a small gadget, yet it allowed me to message my friends and make phone calls. I couldn't imagine something better than that. At that time, it was the best thing I could ever have for my communication purpose. However, the wind of change is unstoppable. In the year 2007, the first iPhone was released. The customers were amazed by the smart features the iPhone had, and they felt at their hearts that was what they really wanted. From then on, the involvement of smartphone just started, and it quickly grabbed the market share and became the mainstream. In the meantime, Nokia did not decide to embrace the change. It still clung to the old design. It was still focused on designing the traditional phones. No matter how durable or well-designed these phones are, the customers are not coming back. If we look at the story, what can we get? It means in the wind of change, if we keep rejecting it, it will bring to failures, no matter how successful the organization used to be. Although Nokia used to be the mobile giant, but it kept rejecting the change and it lost the competitive edge. While change is breaking up the routines, it also brings new opportunities. It's rewriting the rules for the game. If we can really embrace change and find out the solutions, we can really grab the opportunities and it will make us successful. Once I knew there was a small noodle shop. It was in a residential area. Most of the customers were the residents nearby. They prefer take away the dinners home. They didn't mind standing in the queue waiting for the noodles to be cooked. They even told the shop owner, "Your recipe is really delicious. We like the noodles." So the shop owner decided to make a change and expand his business. He moved to the downtown area where the office buildings were located. He anticipated there should be more customers dining in for lunch instead of taking away for dinner. So he rented a larger place with more tables and chairs. To save the queuing time for customers, he even purchased the self-service payment machines in front of the shop. A couple of months just passed. Different from what the shop owner anticipated, the shop did not attract as many customers as it used to be. He was concerned and he wanted to find out the reason why. He started chatting with a few customers. One customer told him, I don't have enough time for lunch. I'm working nearby. And also the food portion is too much for me. Also the noodles are very hot. I cannot eat them all. So the shop owner came up with a set of solutions. Instead of just cutting down the portion a little bit and reducing the price in proportion, he also told the chef, I hope you can cool down the noodles a little bit before serving. I hope you can serve the customers with warm noodles so they can finish the food and there will not be a very long queue. From then on, the shop became more successful and more customers were coming in through the word of mouth. Because the shop owner can really analyze the new situation and find out the solution to tackle the change, his noodle shop became successful again. When there is change happening, when there is change taking place, it's our choice whether we embrace the change or reject it. We have to analyze all different factors to see how we tackle the situation. Among these factors, human factor plays a key role. We cannot simply say this is a good change and that is a bad one. It all depends on how we analyze it and find out the solution here. To further explain this, I would like to tell you one more story about cheese. Once upon a time, there was a huge endless maze. There were two little mice and two little people living inside. They were good friends. They were staying near a huge source of cheese. It's a bubbling cheese fountain. Every day they enjoy the buffet of cheese for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. Even their dessert was made of cheese. They spent the good days like that for a long time. Until one morning, they woke up and realized that things changed. Instead of smelling the fragrance of cheese, the breeze smelled no longer cheesy. So they rushed to the cheese fountain to see what was happening. To their surprise, the cheese fountain was all disappeared. And it was devastating to them. Just imagine, if cheese is the only thing we have, that means it's our daily bread. And the loss of cheese means the loss of everything. It's like the end of the world. So the two little people just could not believe what was happening in front of their eyes. They started imagining who should be the thief for the cheese fountain. There must be someone who moved my cheese. They even started complaining each other for not taking good care of it. On the contrary, the two little mice started to do something different. They packed their luggage and carried their home on their shoulders. They started a quest to a different location in somewhere distant in the maze. The quest was not always smooth. There was bad weather, there was heavy rain and thunder and lightning, but the two little mice did not give up easily. They just keep moving on until one day they found an even better source of cheese. It's a larger fountain of cheese, also bubbling, and the taste was even better. So the two little mice settled down with the cheese fountain and enjoyed their new source of food. In the meanwhile, the two little people were not going anywhere. They stayed in the same spot in the maze, and they were starved because of having nothing to eat for a long time. They were exhausted and they were getting miserable because they were clinging to the past. They were still trying to figure out who moved my cheese. From the story, we can see that change is an inevitable part of our life. We have to accept it so we can stay on top of things. Otherwise, rejecting it will make us obsolete and even extinct. Now I would like to tell you one more story. Before that, can I ask you a question? Have you ever imagined what are you gonna do when you hit the age of 74 years old? Where would you be and how would you spend your day? Have you ever planned for that? I'm not trying to intimidate you. I just want to share a story of the Motown queen. Her name is Diana Ross. She's a good friend of Michael Jackson, actually. They both signed on with Motown and they were famous singers. At the age of 74, Diana Ross was still able to perform on stage. People enjoyed her wonderful performance. And just in this year, she attended an amazing show at the National Art Center in Ottawa, Canada. Her purpose was to raise funding for the young musicians so they could have enough money for their creativity. In the end, she raised more than $700,000 to help the young artists. What I want to say is, instead of rejecting the life change which is growing old, Diana Ross just accepts it and stays on top of it. Her secret is, like once she mentioned to the journalists, instead of just focusing on what's happening in front of my eyes, I try to think about what will happen to me 20 years ahead. I will get prepared for that so I can get there in future. She had good plan for the future. That's the secret for her to becoming wiser as she grows older. And she remains young at heart. That's her secret of embracing the life change and become the beloved artist since her 20s to 70s. So from this story, we can see that embracing change is the key to a happy and fulfilling life. If we are determined to embrace change, does that mean the more change, the merrier, or the faster we change it, the better? You will find out the answer after you listen to the following story. Once a man, he found a cocoon. He was curious what was inside. He observed it for hours. Then there was a hole on the cocoon and he saw a butterfly trying to figuring its way out from the cocoon. He was fascinated and started watching the butterfly struggling its way out. But to his disappointment, for a while the butterfly seemed to be unable to move out. He tried to help the butterfly. So he took a pair of scissors and cut one corner of the cocoon. He wanted to help the butterfly coming out of the way freely. In the end, the butterfly did come out easily without any obstacle. However, the butterfly's wings were wrinkled and dry. It was unable to fly. In his kindness and haste, the man didn't understand that the restriction of the cocoon and the struggling path was nature's way to help the butterfly squeeze the fluid from its body into the wings. This is the nature's way to help the cocoon grow into a flying butterfly. To his disappointment, the butterfly spent the rest of his life carrying a swollen body and deformed wings. Can only climb like an insect, but forever unable to fly. So from this story, we can see that change has its own pace. Even we embrace change and we want it to happen, we have to respect the laws of nature. We cannot force it to happen just in our way. We cannot override the rules, but we have to follow these rules so that we can become the master of change instead of the slave of it. Next slide. Before closing this presentation, I'd like to show you some tips and takeaways for embracing change. Rejecting change may be harmful because it can make us obsolete and even extinct. Change brings new opportunities, and it's our job to find out the ways to grab these opportunities and become successful. Face the fear and see struggling as a form of preparation, and also use the right strategy to embrace change. In the end, embracing change is the key to stay on top of everything. Next. Okay. So to wrap it up, embracing change is the key to a successful life because it breaks up the routines and brings out new opportunities at our fingertips. Embracing change is the key to personal growth because it shows us we have to accept it and embrace our inner self so we can live our life at its fullest. Embracing change is the key to happiness and fulfillment because it helps us understand that uncertainty is part of our life. In the wind of change, it's not important who you were yesterday. It really matters who you are becoming. Thanks.